With that, welcome to Amazon Live, Scott Smith. And for those of you that follow me here, know I love to do interviews with authors, but today is a treat. We not only have the author, we also have the artist. And with that, we are going to start right away. Let's bring both Sarah and Adam in. Welcome, Sarah. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you
Hello.
for having us.
Oh, it is so great to have the two of you here today. And we have got a bunch of books in the carousel. And so, Sarah, let's have you start first and tell people where you're at and kind of what's going on in your world, and then we'll move over to Adam.
Of course, I'm actually in Florida and Ormond Beach, Florida, on the opposite side of where you are. Right now, it's so we got Bike Week going on. So if you hear some rumbling behind me, it's okay. It's just Harley's going by.
That is an exciting time for sure. A big photo op, I bet. All right. And Adam. So,
Yes,
Adam, and it's, I got the pronunciation right, Adam Isle.
Isle.
And
Yes, just like the little island, except with an H.
there we go. All right. So tell us where you are in the world and what's going on.
Where I am in the world, I am on the West Coast. I am in Palmetto, Florida. I live here with my wife and my 3 children. Trying to think what else is going on. Not much else aside from just working on the latest book.
Yeah. So let's have you guys. Let's jump right into it. We've got a bunch of books. Where do you want to start? And I'll just start off with saying congratulations on the Mom's Choice Award. That is, I'll just say that's a big deal, and in there's a bunch of things that go with that. But let's just talk about the books and which book would you like to start with?
Let's start with I Quit.
All
It's
right.
one of our Mom Choice Awards as well.
Yeah, I've got that. So I've highlighted that in the carousel, and I just encourage people, go ahead and click on the item in the carousel. It'll open up a window. You can take a look at the books. You can look at the inside. And as I said, not only do we have Sarah, the author, we also have Adam, the artist here. So we've got the chat is open. So anyone who wants to ask questions, we'd love to have you engage with us here. But I quit. Sarah.
Yes, I Quit is actually based off of one of my martial arts students. About a summer ago, yeah, last summer, was it the summer before? We were playing a Mac game, and I had a little girl have a meltdown because she didn't win the dodgeball game. And all of a sudden, I was inspired. I was like, you know what? That'll make a great book. And so we developed the story about a little boy who just kept trying all these different sports, but he never gave it a chance. He just quit every time he would lose. And that is where this book came out of. So he learns about not giving up, overcoming some anger issues, and knowing that it's okay to keep trying until you finally get it. And it's okay to fail and to keep going because it's all about you overcoming.
It's so important with all of what we hear in social media where people are posting all of the great stuff and all the tremendous vacations and everything that's going on in their life. Sometimes we just feel like, how come I'm not there? How come I'm not so successful? And we need to have that encouragement to keep persevering and realize you have to fall if you're going to walk and then run.
Right. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. It just matters how many times you get back up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Adam, let's talk about some of the art here.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was actually pretty easy. Because I've got twins.
Says the artist.
Yeah, well, it was easy to come to get the idea of a child that melts down because I have twins that were not well. They've reached the point in their lives where they're past Harry now, but up until now, they were my sounding board, and they were also where I would draw inspiration for how the kids would talk and look at each other and react. And it's amazing when you watch someone at 6, 7, 8 years old that they interact pretty mature at that age with each other. You're like, okay, it's basically watching little adults, even though the reactions, especially like you see in I Quit, where the meltdowns happen, where it's like the emotional disconnect is still there. And I was privy to many a meltdown as a father. So it was like, okay, how do I portray this? And then I would turn to my kids and say, okay, do you get what's going on? And they're like, oh yeah, he's having a meltdown. I was like, yes, good.
Oh, I love
So I don't
it.
let
I
them
love
read
it.
them. I'll let them see the pictures. They'll come in and I'll say, here, can you tell me through the picture what's going on? I won't let them read the books until they're finished.
In the startup business world, we call that the product market fit. So you're actually testing it out on the audience to see
Yes.
how they engage. It's funny too. My wife was a former school teacher. She taught third grade, fourth grade, kindergarten, and it was funny because in her eyes, those children were mature because they're interacting with each other, and they got taller. And then she'd see them with their parents in the store, and they're just these little tiny people.
Yeah.
So it's fun to see the kids. How did you guys decide to write children's books?
That's all
Well,
Sarah.
well, originally, The Adventures of Harry and Friends is part of my character development program that martial arts schools around the world license from us. So originally, Harry is 3D as well. And we have animations and mat chats and activity sheets that martial arts schools and preschools and other teachers are using to help teach character development. But because of COVID,
Mhm,
a lot of schools were having difficulty, and a lot of things were shutting down and pausing. So I'm here going, how can I get my mission out to these kids? And while
mhm,
we were working on some 2D art of Harry already, we were
Yep.
working on this for 2 years before we even released the books. And it
mhm.
sort of fit in. So now we're taking everything that we've been teaching with the character development system, and we're making children's books to help the mission and helping young
Mhm.
minds grow stronger, help parents raise resilient kids. So that is where it came from.
So this is amazing. First of all, programs like martial arts for kids are so important. I know when my kids were involved in programs like this when they were young,
Mhm.
they uh, they weren't focusing on character, but just the individual self confidence that
Mhm.
I saw happen. And I'm sure, Sarah, you see that with the children as well.
Oh yeah, I see with our martial arts school, we've been in business since 1995. So I've worked with thousands of children, and I've
Mhm,
seen all kinds of emotional states. I've seen them fall, I've seen them fail, and I've seen them pick themselves up and their confidence grow.
mhm,
And that is what I want to happen through all these book series and the character programs. I want those children and parents see that same effect that I see on our mat.
I can
Mhm.
see why Mom's Choice decided that you guys would be one of their picks.
Thanks.
Just having being a parent, and it's gratifying when you see your child grow and develop and mature, even at that young age.
Mhm.
And not everybody has access to the martial arts programs or studios, or maybe there's not one in the area that is using your program. Which congratulations, by the way, on having a worldwide
Thanks.
program,
Thank
and that is a fabulous deal. But then to be able to start with something like I Quit, and maybe the parents then can also help encourage their children.
you. Well, a lot of kids these days do quit on everything from their video games to schoolwork to sports. It gets hard and they go, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm,
And it's not about that. It's about persevering through the hard times. And that's when true confidence grows. And that's what we want the kids to learn. And I quit is true
mm.
confidence grows from not giving up.
Mhm.
and not worry about what the other person's doing. There is no need because the only person you're competing against is yourself.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Adam, what's your thoughts on this? You're talking about your children as well.
I've got my children. Well, let's see. I've got 2 soccer players and a golf player. And the soccer players I have to push because it will get hard. And I'll be like, okay, you can't stop. You can't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. And it's fun to watch them when they actually do catch themselves. And like, okay, no, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to push myself. And there are tears and there are meltdowns and there are times where you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And as a parent, all I can do is give them a hug and say, we'll go back out tomorrow. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's just a lot of fun, as I said, as you watch them grow and develop.
Yep.
Learn new skills, learn that confidence, and out on the soccer field and golf, whatever the sport or activity that they're in, Sarah, character, and I know that's really a part of that program that you have, and what you really want to instill in here, character, and that's not really something we don't talk about that as much. Certainly not a subject in school.
Yeah. A
Not
lot of it,
anymore.
yeah, a lot of it's lacking. And a lot of people need to start bringing that back in school or at home and start talking about these positive words on not giving up, on perseverance, on integrity, on honesty, because they're all different, on making good choices, thinking before you act, think before you talk,
Mm-hmm.
and also just pause for a moment. It's okay to pause. A lot of these kids just rush into things, and I want them to slow down and enjoy a book, enjoy learning, enjoy being around your parents, enjoy being around your friends without having envy or jealousy or anger issues.
Mm-hmm. I was interviewing Holly Jean Jackson recently, and she was talking about her book, Inspiration Contagion. And one of the examples of a good way to live was to just enjoy a meal.
Yeah.
No TV, no, just actually enjoy the food.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what I'm hearing here too. Is that if you're with a friend, enjoy your friend. If you're on the soccer field, enjoy that soccer moment.
Yeah.
And don't be looking for all the other alternatives.
Right. I mean, you can be competitive and it's okay to be competitive, but you also have to be humble and learn to lose gracefully and congratulate the people around you who are succeeding and praise them for it because eventually you're going to be there too. And they all learn that. And I quit.
Yep. That was just funny. And recently, actually, within the past week, because I coach a soccer team, I coach my daughter's soccer team, and we had issues with our last game of them being too nice on the field. And they were very confused when I told them, I was like, you can be a good sport and be aggressive at the same time. You can go out there and not be a nice person, but still be a good sport about it. And we had to work around that on our last practice. And it was like, how can you do both things that sound so opposite? How can you push forward and do this on the field and be an aggressive player and someone who is looking to win, yet still be a good sport about it and not go out there angry trying to hurt people? So, and it's hard. I mean, when you're dealing with 10-year-olds, that's like, okay, you can't go out there and start swinging. You gotta realize there's a line. You can be aggressive. You can push forward without being mad and angry about it. And if they get past you, don't get mad and angry about it. Just turn around and say, okay, I'm going to do better this time, and be just as aggressive as they're being.
My daughters
getting angry.
Being respectful.
My daughters were playing basketball. That was the same thing. It was the ball was coming down after a missed shot, and my daughter was going to she got the rebound last time, so now it's time for the other girl to get the.
Yes.
Like you don't have to let her have it. This is okay.
You don't have to be nice. You don't have to be nice.
And whether it's sports or activities, band, orchestra, plays, sports, not only is there the competition, but there's also the cooperation that we learn there as well.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of teamwork. I mean, in the beginning of I Quit, they're at a basketball game. And
Mhm.
Ringo is doing an amazing job. He's got the shot, but there's another team member from the other team coming in to steal the ball. But he
That he doesn't
misses
see.
it. Yeah, and Kara grabs it and takes the winning shot, which
Mm.
starts this whole cascade of emotional breakdown for Ringo.
Mhm.
But he learns that it's all part of the game and not to give up.
I love the stories. So, I Quit, congratulations on, Mom's Choice Award. What's the next book we'd like to take a look at?
Let's take a look at Harry Gets in the Swing of Things.
Mhm.
And this is another book about perseverance. And I actually have a really cute story about this. The beginning of the book is actually based off of one of my students when she was a child. And she was at a black belt demonstration and she was trying to break boards. And we go through 2 inches of boards, not little paper boards. We
Mhm.
go through 2 inches of boards. And she was 10. And she was running, she was jumping, flying over 5 or 6 people and hitting the board, but it wasn't cracking. It was
Mm.
not breaking at all. And what would a normal 10-year-old do? Cry, run off,
Sure.
be
Yeah.
embarrassed. She didn't do that. She
Mm.
took the lessons that we've been teaching her and she didn't give up. She went through at least 10 times before she broke that board. She got a standing ovation. And this story is sort of based around that child. I also had another story from a child in Australia who was running a foot race. And he was running, 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 but his shoe fell apart.
Oh,
And
no.
normal little 6-year-old would just fall apart. Did this
Mhm.
kid do it? No. He threw off his other shoe. He finished the foot race, and the tracks there aren't as smooth as ours here. It's a dirt road with pebbles and all kinds of stuff. So he's running on this.
Mm.
And he's running, he's running, he's running. He's not winning, he's losing, but he didn't give up. And at the end of the race, his mom asked him, "Why didn't you just walk off the track?" And I get goosebumps every time I tell the story. He goes, "Because I have indomitable spirit like Harry."
Oh, my word.
And I'm like, and so the martial arts school who uses my
Mhm.
program there emailed me that story, and I just
Yes.
yeah, that is so powerful. And in this book, it starts out at a black belt ceremony where Ricky the
Mhm.
rabbit is having the same issue, about breaking the board, but he doesn't give up. And then as they go to a party after the ceremony, they're doing an obstacle race, like a little ninja track, and Harry just keeps falling off the monkey bars. He can't do it.
Oh,
But
no.
the other kids don't let him give up. And he finally does it, and he does his happy dance. And then so it's celebrating those 2 kids, those 2
Mhm.
stories that are so powerful to all the other kids in the world about not giving up.
There's a famous marathon runner, John Stephen Okoye, from Tanzania, 1968 Summer Olympics in Mexico City.
Mhm.
He was dead last in the marathon. Had been injured, and you can see his leg is bandaged up, and he's hobbling, trying to jog, but mostly walking. And he comes in hours after the race is over, and they asked him, why did you not quit?
Yeah.
And he said, my country sent me 3,000 miles to finish a race, not start it. Yeah. This is amazing stuff. I'm so glad, Sarah, that you're able to share the story. Oh, I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't.
It's
It's
just so
mhm,
emotional to
yeah,
watch children, watch real people take
yeah,
these character stuff
mhm.
and learn from it and overcome and be representations for their countries or for their students or for their children. I
This is,
get
I love this because in so many cases, there's always the older generation looking down to the younger generation and thinking that our future is some sort of combination between hell and a handbasket. But when you hear stories about that children and about that child that persevered,
Right.
And about your student, about the breaking the board and persevering until she got that standing ovation.
Yeah,
I think our future is okay.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think every child that we affect is going to affect 10 more. And those children are
Mhm.
going to affect 10 more. And it will be a domino effect. Our world will
Yeah.
be okay as long as we bring back character education to these kids.
Yeah. And so it's available in the martial arts programs, but also in all of these books. And so we talk about I Quit, and Harry
Mhm.
gets into the swing of things. What else? And I would go to Adam and ask, uh, there, one of the things that your books have
Mhm.
is this different, there's this, I'll say a different voice that happens
Yes.
in the story. So tell us about that.
The different voice came about because this is the story that I knew the most. Harry gets into the swing of things is where I met Sarah back
Mm,
in, was it 2009? Um, I was actually storyboarding the animation that was based off of the story that was this, but in a different form. And when you're doing animation, you can visually change how it looks. In a book, how do you do a narrative and show someone thinking?
mm,
You can do it
mm,
in animation with like the Scooby Doo wobbly, like the wiggly lines, and
mhm,
you know that he's thinking. I was like, well, how do we show this? And I was like, I threw the idea at Sarah. I was like, and she was back. We were back and forth for a while. I was like, how about his world looks like a cartoon, but when he's inside his head, it's a comic book.
yes. Yes.
And it was, and everything changes. It visually looks
Mhm,
different. Everything looks
mhm,
different because the comic book, now you know Harry or one of the other characters is inside their own head, whether it's Harry thinking he's a superhero or just someone thinking.
mhm,
There's a there, and this is now it's a running thing throughout the books where it's when someone goes inside their imagination or starts to think and they're thinking in pictures, it changes visual looks. So
mhm.
you know instantly if you see a thought bubble or a word bubble, he's no longer in Harry's world, because Harry lives in 3 worlds in each book.
Yeah.
He lives in your world, and his imagination, and the other characters do as well. So we have to visually show how does each one of those go. And I'm glad we did it because I think it works really well. I think, and people pick up on it really quick. They're like, I haven't heard anybody come out and say, well, that's just confusing. They pick it, they get it right away that we've changed venues. We've gone from his world to inside his head. And I was like, okay, we got it. We're good.
It's
Yeah,
just it's a fabulous camera trick.
we're very non-traditional children's books. It's like
Oh,
watching
yeah.
a cartoon series. And so we wanted to make sure that the children who are having a hard time reading or learning to read still understood what was going on. So
Mhm,
the entire book series has, I guess my husband likes to say, wall to wall or cover to cover illustrations. And it looks like it's a running cartoon right in front of you. So
mhm,
our characters, there's really no descriptions of what's going on because it's all in the pictures. And Adam
mhm,
did an amazing job doing that. And there's a lot of dialogue because I want the kids to learn how to communicate with each other. And our characters not only talk to each other, but they talk to the audience and they break the fourth wall and
A
they say,
lot.
what do you think? How do you do that? And so it gives the parent a chance to have a conversation with their children
mhm.
and children having a conversation with Harry. So it creates a nice special bond with our characters, with the kids, and with the parents.
Yeah, that's fabulous. I just when I think of this, uh, as we call it, the camera trick, when they go inside their head, when it becomes that comic book and it's physically looks different on the page, it does remind me of those tricks in the early days of film with Orson Welles experimenting and coming up with new techniques.
Yeah.
And you guys have been able to do that same type of thing, is come up with something that Orson Welles would have done had he been done doing children's books. So congratulations.
Thank you. It's such a big compliment.
It is a huge. I'm thinking it's like we just went because we're both coming from a visual entertainment, like I come from a background of doing films and television. Sarah's in the same thing. So illustrating a book, I come at it. I came at it originally as a cartoon. I was like,
Mhm.
we'll make it look like a cartoon because that's how I've always seen Harry.
Mhm.
Harry was a cartoon character. He wasn't a book character. He was a
Mm.
cartoon character who had a voice. He was alive. I saw him speaking. I know what he sounds like. I know how he thinks. Ricky the Rabbit also for me because I'm the voice of Ricky
Mhm. You should
in
do
the
it.
animation. So I was Ricky's voice. So I know what these characters sound like. And when Sarah said, "Hey, I want to change the way we look," before the books were made, I was like, okay. And I came at it as she meant we're doing animation again, but on 2-dimensional. So it was hand drawn
Mhm.
animation. So I came at it that way. And then it was like, what about books? I was like, oh, well, we got all these character designs and ideas.
Mhm.
And the transition from animation to book was very simple because everything was already made for us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We just had to lay it all out in book form. And I was like, and running from that, these are as if I tried to do the anime. I try to draw the books as if it's a still frame from a cartoon on TV. If you paused
Mhm.
your TV at the right moment, that's what you'd see.
Mhm.
So that goes back to Disney. Speaking of Disney and his animation,
Yeah.
and specifically in Snow White and Fantasia, he wanted every cell in there to be frameable.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think we see that in the art here. And just, people, I'm just going to highlight Sarah here so we can take a look at this. We can look at the detail in the picture, and you can really in these you can climb into this. And I think some of the best art when we're looking at landscape, right, is we can walk into them and we can wander around and we can look at that house in the back on the other side of the fence. And these are things that uh, make the story interesting, not just for the child, but also for the parent. Because, as I said, as a parent, I remember out of all the books, we would read like one over and over again, every night, right? Because that's what the child wanted.
Mhm.
And with a book like this, there's more to it, and you can use your own imagination as a parent and climb into it and wonder, what
Mhm.
about the yellow house back there? Who do you think lives back there?
Kara the frog.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure Sarah knows who lives in that yellow house.
Oh my word. I love it. I love it. Well, let's talk a little bit about the background about this video movie TV type of production that you guys have been in, and how that influences the stories. And we'll move there into one of the other books.
Okay. Well, my background is I started out at on stage in local performances with my mother because my mother was a actress and a professional singer, and then I had the chance to audition for Fox Kids Club in Mississippi when I was a child, and that was when I got my first taste
Mm.
of
Mhm.
television, other than just watching it. And I was their first Kids Club network hostess. They tried it out on me and it
Mhm.
worked. So they hired some more people and then they created regional hosts all across the nation. But while I was there, I was more interested in what's going on behind there. And so
Mhm.
I started producing versus being in front of the camera. So I started producing my own spots, writing my own spots, getting in there, getting in and out, and just loving every second of actually producing. And then I went from television to a theatrical company that sent me all over the United States and Canada. And I performed about, I think, around 500 plays, but they were all family oriented and
Mhm.
epic role plays. So I really got to engage with a lot of students and kids and travel with throughout there. Um, I was doing plays in French, and I don't speak French. And I went up
Fabulous.
to Quebec
That's
and I
acting.
really strong Southern drawl then, and they were all laughing, and I was like, "Isn't this a drama?" But I just went with it, and I left Canada saying "a" instead of "y'all."
Mhm.
Um, but then I met my husband after that at his martial arts school, and he asked me if I could entertain the kids because the kids were all wired and it's silly and it's Christmas time. So they're all hyper from the parties. And
Mm-hmm.
so I sat down with the kids and I told them the original story of Harry. And it was a Christmas story.
Ah.
And that's where all this started.
Was that
So
Harry and the Broken Toy?
no, actually.
Oh, okay.
It was a Christmas story, but we'll get to that one next.
Okay. All right. Sounds
Right
good.
to the Christmas tree. About Harry and the Broken Toy.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, it overflowed into the martial arts industry, the character development, which overflowed into the children's book series. And that's where all my background came from.
Yeah, I can see where just having those interactions and knowing kind of what resonates with parents and with children certainly influences why your books are so successful. So congratulations on that.
Thank
And
you.
Adam, you were talking also about, not only you an artist, but you're a voice artist, and what else?
Let's see. My background was, well, I've always been illustrating and drawing since I was a kid, which is something I seem to have passed on to my daughter.
Nice.
Because she's been the same way. But yeah, since I could pick up a pencil, I was drawing. And there was a time during like high school where I was like, maybe I want to animate. Maybe I want to go do that kind of stuff. And there was always the underlying, it sounds so cliche because of all of it. When I was 5 and I saw Star Wars for the first time in 1977 or 78, I was like, oh, I want to be the guy that makes monsters. I wanted to be that guy. So I went to school and I learned how to make monsters. And I learned how to do special effects makeup and how to do model building. And right at the cusp, as everything was changing to digital and stuff, I had learned all these skills. I had gone on and done some film and television in New York City. I did some theater. I sculpted toys and things like that. I was like, I'm using my skills as a sculptor in other ways outside of just movies and film. I had done storyboarding. I'd done comic book work. But it wasn't until I moved to Florida in the early 2000s and started working at Disney and Universal through with another company, but we did work for Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, and all the theme parks, where I started to shine as a sculptor, where it's like I've got some huge pieces all over the theme parks. I mean, it's just like I can sit there and know that millions of people have seen my work, but they have no idea who I am. And that's an awesome feeling, because I know, I mean, it's like I know I did it. And when I see, I mean, I can laugh. I'll see people that I know that post photos of things that I've worked on, and I get a little grin, and I'll tell them, like, hey, I know the guy who sculpted that. And I was like, they're like, really? I was like, yeah, that was me. But that aspect of it helps, because I know how Disney works. I got really, really, really good at doing Disney stuff. And I was friends with Disney sculptors and animators and stuff that gave me some tips and tricks on certain things. So when it came to illustrating these guys, it was, well, how do we make them look? Do we go full Disney? Because there are so many different styles. And I hope I nailed it, where there is a lot of in between. There's some Looney Tunes and Disney and little bit of Nickelodeon Saturday morning thrown in, and just kind of make it our own, but make it familiar at the same time.
Yeah, interesting. Just as a note, I will actually be doing an interview with Craig Miller, and he was the original publicist for the first Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. And
really
on the sets, and has a book out. It's 400 and some pages. And so I am excited for that. That's going to be a really fun, because like you, I was young, and Star Wars was an amazing creation at the time.
Changed my whole outlook.
Yeah. So I can see where having such a visual reference and this physical, doing the sculpting and everything, uh, has given you guys a very unique perspective, and then creating a 2D children's book that feels much richer than that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so we were talking about the next book. What else are we looking at here?
Harry and the Broken
Yes.
Toy.
Oh, Terry has a broken toy. Mhm.
The argument book. This is the book that Sarah and I argued over.
But
That
it
was
was,
actually, I honestly think it was the first argument we had
yeah,
about what should be on the cover.
Mhm.
but it has worked out.
It worked. I'm not saying anything. It worked. You were right. I was wrong. It worked.
So
Yeah.
tell us about Harry and his toy.
Well, Harry had a play date. And at the end of the play date, all the kids rushed out instead of picking up their toys. And
Mm,
Harry accidentally steps on one of his favorite toys that he saved all his hard earned money to get.
mm,
And it's
mhm,
so the book actually teaches responsibility. It teaches manners. So if you're going to someone's house to play, you got to make sure you take the time to clean up without being told to clean up. And that is what Harry and the Broken Toy is. And there's also an interactive page in here where Harry actually asks the reader to help him clean up the mess that his friends left behind. I can show it to you. And the kids get to color it in to clean up.
ah,
So it's just little fun
mhm,
things
mhm,
in here. But I understand that children, when they're in the midst of playing and they're in their imaginations, which we show in the book, that they're in their
mhm,
imaginations, and it's a huge, very Batman Gotham style comic adventure going
mhm,
on in this book, that you get distracted and
mm.
you forget to clean up, even if a parent says, "Hey, don't forget to clean up your mess before you leave." It happens, but this is a nice reminder to all students, all kids,
Mhm.
all parents, that just, give them a little edge, or they'll learn from the hard way sometimes, but they'll start cleaning up and showing manners when they're going to other people's homes and different things, and being a little more responsible for their toys.
Yes, that's great. I love it. And again, it's that character.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not underhanded but definitely it is a subliminal part of the message. But every one of us can certainly identify with that moment where we wish we could back up time and not break that toy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because we all have.
Mhm, mhm. Even as adults.
Mm-hmm.
And so what else? We've got a number of books here and different character traits.
Let's see here. Oh, yes, lots of different character traits. We've got
Mhm.
the very first book, which is The Day of My Best Friend.
Yeah. Mhm.
That is a actual prequel to our animation, Harry's First Martial Arts Lesson. And
Mhm.
it actually introduces Harry to the audience, and it introduces some of the characters, and their different personalities start coming out in that book. So Harry's new to town, and I have a cute story on that. Last year I had a little girl who was new here at our martial arts
Mhm.
school, and she was a little shy, like Harry. She didn't know how to communicate with other kids, and she didn't think the kids liked her. And so she's
Mm.
over in the corner crying. And I'm like,
Oh.
I know.
Oh.
Yes.
I know, it was heartbreaking. And I'm like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "They don't like me." And I'm like, "Well, did you try talking to them? Have you introduced yourself?" She's like, "No, they don't like me." And I said, "But you haven't introduced yourself. You haven't said hello. You haven't had any interaction with them. So how do you know they don't like you?" And
Mhm.
she's crying and having a meltdown, and I'm like, "It's okay." And so I give her this book. She takes 20 minutes, she reads it,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden, I look back. She's not there anymore. She's with those girls and their
Oh,
best
wow.
friends.
Yeah.
She learned from the book that it's okay to be yourself, and it's okay to go up to somebody that you want to meet and just say hi, especially another
Mhm.
kid across the room, because they may be shy too.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, as we're all coming out of the COVID lockdown, maybe we should all buy a copy of this. It's right here in the carousel. I'm just going to tell everybody. We can just click on the books. We have both Sarah and Adam here. We've got the writer, we've got the illustrator, and the books are in the carousel. I just want to remind everybody that on Amazon, one of the great things that you can do, click on the book, add to cart, and then choose the address that you want it to go to. And maybe there's someone that you know that has a brand new child, someone that's got a child that's struggling. Maybe they just moved, they just relocated, and they need a little bit of encouragement. These books right here, a perfect gift. And you can just click and add that and send those to friends around the country. If you have a school that's in your area or a library, you can donate books there. They are open to that type of thing. And maybe you have a friend that's got a medical office, dental or uh, um, physician or something for children. These are great. Donate those and help the children out. Character traits. We need that in today's world.
Mhm. Amen.
That is a great story. So we've got some more books. We've got
Yes,
some more books. I don't want people to miss out,
I know.
and we can hear directly from the two of you.
Well, this I I hate to say I have favorites, but I do.
I'll
Just
say it.
put
I have
you
a favorite book.
I'm sure.
I have two favorites.
Me too. Me
out.
too.
I have two.
Well, let's see what the same ones.
Okay.
I'm Not Afraid.
Okay, that's one of them.
And this is a Mom's Choice Award book
Mm.
as well. And this one is about overcoming fear and
Mm.
understanding what fear actually is. Is it false fear or is it real fear? Is there
Mhm.
really a monster outside your tent? Or is it just your imagination building up the noise and the creepy shadows? So, false expectations appearing real fear, or is there
Mhm.
actually a monster outside your tent? So, they learn the difference in this book between false expectations appearing real and what fear really is. So, they
Mhm.
can then sit back and go, you know what? Yeah, that was freaking me out. It was a little scary, but it's not real. And so they
Mhm.
take their power back and they overcome their fear. And they have a good time telling scary stories to each other and their overactive imaginations. And Adam, I know this is one of your favorites too.
Oh yes, it is. It is definitely one of my favorites, just because visually it was something new. We hadn't done this before, and it was taking them outside of the bedrooms and outside of the playgrounds and sticking them into a tent and it was like, okay, now we got to have, it's like, it's visually changing the dynamic. We got these four guys in a tent telling scary stories, and how do you pull that off and make it interesting? And that all had to do with lighting and changing the way things looked. And the old sticking the flashlight under your chin thing changed because of the modern world. Now it's, oh, his cell phone is underneath his chin, lighting up his face. So that kind of stuff it was fun to play with. And then there was,
Mhm.
how scary can I go in their imagination before it becomes too scary?
Mm.
And according to my kids, I didn't go scary enough.
That's probably
They
just
were like,
right.
"Oh, it could have been more scary, Dad. It's scary, but it
Mhm.
could have been more."
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh, okay." It's like, we got to remember, there's gonna be really little kids reading this, not just you guys at 8, 9 years old. No, there's gonna be like
Mhm.
4-year-olds reading this. It can still be scary, Dad. It can't. It's not enough. But visually, it was when it was the new book. That was it. It was my favorite book of all of them. I was like, "Oh, this is it. This is the book this is the one that I want people to look at," just because the
Mhm.
visuals in that book I'm proud of the way that book looks.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm Not Afraid. Adam is one of your favorites. You mentioned that you have two favorites.
Oh
What's
yes,
your
my
other
other
favorite?
favorite. I can. She's got it in her hand. Yep. Again, something that I got to play. When I get to play as the illustrator, I have more fun. When it's a straightforward story, and no offense to I Quit, but it's a straightforward story. There really isn't a lot going on visually aside from characters talking to each other.
Mhm.
I'm Not Afraid and What Should I Do are two books that go off the rails a little bit because you are delving into imaginations, you're playing with lighting, you're doing different things to make it visually exciting, as
Mhm.
well as trying to tell the story outside of telling the story. It's like, because that's me. This is where Sarah and I work really good together. Is Sarah will write the words and describe the scene to me, and I will draw something. And next thing you know, she's removing lines because they're not necessary because I drew it.
Mm.
And I was
Oh,
like, see,
wow.
this is where we
Mhm.
have the fun. So it's like I portrayed what's going on, so she didn't have to say it. So I think we have moved away from describing what was happening
Mm-hmm.
almost completely. We started where there's descriptions of stuff that's happening. It's, oh, these guys are walking to the park. We don't do that anymore. We don't have to because we've found the visual cues and where to play. It's like, how much can I show in the picture? How much can't I?
Right.
And What Should I Do is the classic angel and devil on your shoulder with a whole new spin,
Mm-hmm.
which was fun.
Mm.
And also in the back of the book, in the paperbacks, we also have an extra teacher's aid or a little bit of a guide in the back of the book that
Mm. Mhm.
the parents can scan and download the activity sheets and continue the conversation about making good choices.
Mhm.
And
So one of the things I like about your books is that you add extra content, but also it's already a series because you get a book, you read it, it says great, but then it's over. And in this case, there's a whole series of books that parents and their children are going to be able to enjoy, and that's a pretty special deal right there. You get to follow the characters through and look at these different traits.
yeah.
And so, Sarah, you mentioned also that you have a is What Should I Do your other favorite as well, or what should I do?
It is one of my. It is very much so my favorite. I like the comedy of Harry's overactive imagination because it's sort of
Mhm.
me, and I have too many characters going on in my head at the same time. Sometimes I have to go
Mhm.
shh, so that I can write because they're all very chatty. And but that's what's so lovely about the series is that these characters are real. I see them every day at our school. I've worked
Mhm.
with children for 30 years. So I've helped develop their character traits. I taught them life skills.
Mhm.
They're all really good people. And I get inspired by just watching, sitting back and watching the kids interact with each other and
Mhm.
also solving problems. They've got to learn to problem solve. So I don't step in right
Mhm.
away to help them debate their issues that they have if they're arguing over a toy or a video game. I let them try to solve their own problems first, and then I introduce a book, and they go,
Mhm.
"Oh, we probably have a better way of handling things," and they learn that through our character development
Mhm.
program and our children's books.
Mhm.
And what's nice about our children's books too is that we have several mentors for the kids. We have instructor Dan, who is the martial arts instructor. He's sort of like our little Yoda character, where he teaches the kids that mat
Mhm.
chats and ethics and morals in their world. And they
Mhm.
constantly reminding each other, well, don't you remember what instructor Dan said about self discipline? And then he's like, no.
Mhm.
They remind you. We also have Captain Karate Man, who is actually our superhero involved in it in this, where Harry's wanting to pretend he's the superhero and he is a little bit of the ethics and the morals. He's our
Mhm.
Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, all rolled into one. And then, of course, we have our evil character, the Black Beetle, but he's not that evil. He's just very mischievous, and he's got his band of super ninjas where
Okay.
they learn by mistakes. They learn it doesn't work out by the mistakes they make. And then, of course, we also have Harry's parents and teachers who are also mentors in here. So we're not making fun of parents. We're not making fun of teachers. It is all about bringing them up and teaching them that they're their children's first mentor.
And in that opening sequence, and if people go, and again, I'll just encourage you, click on the books, open up the tab, go take a look at them. You can also go and follow Sarah and Adam, follow them on their author pages here on Amazon. That way, when new publications come out, you'll get notified. But there's some great videos in there. And in our opening, we had part of one, the behind the scenes, and we got to see Adam doing some of the art and kind of coloring those in. We got to see a little bit of that creation there.
Yeah, that was the stuff from What Should I Do?
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the pages, the comic pages, the imagination pages from What Should I Do?
And I'm only missing one book in front of me because I think one of my kids stole it and ran off with it. And I'm like,
That's
What book did we miss?
it's Harry's first martial arts lesson.
Oh,
like,
that's right.
Where did it go? It was just here. So I'm like, I stink.
Well, it is in the carousel. People can get their own copy right now. Well, we have covered a number of books. I think there's, let's see, let me take a look.
There's
I'm at
one
my
more.
best friend, martial arts lesson. Alice, what am I missing here?
Thomas the Tiger's Terrible Twins.
Yes,
It's not
Thomas the
within
Tiger.
but it's fun.
Yes, yes. And that was the first book that I got.
Change. It was a change of pace.
Mhm.
It was like eating ginger while eating sushi to cleanse the palate.
That was good. As I read through, I could imagine those times in the store with my own child. And unfortunately, I can remember when I was that child.
It's very relatable and it's fun to read. And we actually got a really great honor. Adam Wallace, who is a New York Times best-selling author of How to Catch series, he actually gave us a huge review and a 5-star review. It was amazing.
Congratulations. Yeah. And give us a little highlight on this one and encourage people to add this one.
This one is all about a big brother going into a shoe store with his little brother for the very, very first time. And he has his first absolutely huge meltdown as a 2-year-old. And his big brother is learning that if you interact with the 2-year-old who is having this meltdown, it sort of fuels the fire and it gets bigger and more explosive. And so as you're going through the book is a short and sweet, it's a nice bedtime book to be able to go through. As he's going through this emotional high, eventually it comes back down and the big brother is totally embarrassed. But then at the very end of the story, his mom goes, you were just like him. So they learn a lesson along with that.
Yeah, so I was thinking, I remember being that terrible child in the store. And I think
we all go through it.
Yes.
And it's always fun when I go to the grocery stores and I'm just walking up and down the aisle and I see a child or a mom just at wit's end and she's so frustrated because her kid is having a meltdown. And all I do is walk up calmly just on my way and I just go and make eye and no noise, nothing. And they just look at me and they go, okay. And then all of a sudden, what did you do? I just go, it's okay. You'll get through this. And they're calm for the rest of the time in the grocery store.
And on that same note, if you are seeing that mom, don't look down on her. you have no idea what she's, well, if you're a parent, you know what she's going through.
Mhm.
And I have seen more than my share of people look down on, it's like, just take your kid out of the store. It's like, you know what? How about you just chill? Because it's not hurting you.
Mm. No,
Well,
so
Give that mom a break.
before I was
Give
a
that mom a
parent,
shoulder.
as I said, my wife was a school teacher, and I remember before we had kids, we were going into the movie theater, and here comes this family with a 3-year-old, pouring down rain, and the child is barefoot walking through the parking lot. And I turned to my wife and said, "We would never let our child do that."
and then your
Yep.
She
kid is
being,
walking through the rain barefoot.
she being much wiser and more experienced than I was saying, sometimes you just have to pick your battles.
Yep.
Exactly.
Hey, at least the kid had
And,
pants on.
that's right. Maybe that
And I
was
mean,
the
I'm
compromise.
talking from experience. My son was infamous. I'm just gonna go outside, Dad. All right. You gonna put pants on? Oh, maybe. Okay, have fun.
But
Oh, everyone is going to have fun, Adam, Sarah, with all of these books. And as we wind down, and I have had so much fun with both of you today. Thank you for taking time and coming here live on Amazon. And again, I want to encourage everybody, click on the books in the carousel. Share the link out to this to friends. They can watch and get the behind the scenes. What I really want to do in the last moments is, how can people get a hold of you?
Mhm.
And will you be at any shows or signings or conventions or book cons that people can come and see you guys face to face?
Actually, I did just sign up for a homeschool show that's in Orlando in May. And I'm also going to be at a martial arts convention in Las Vegas in July. And if they go to my website, adventuresofharryandfriends.com, later this week, I will have the events listed under the event page. So they can definitely come and meet us.
Fabulous. All right. And Adam, will you be there as well at any of these or?
The Orlando show I should be at. I'm not making
Okay.
any promises. But I should be at the Orlando. I will not be at the Vegas show.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy enough to go to Vegas in July. But
Well,
no,
I'll tell you,
I will.
those are big blocks when you look and you think, oh, it's only a block over. It's still like a
Yeah.
mile and a half
Yeah.
in the sun. So that's why. So what is the website again that people can come and learn more of where you guys are going to be?
Adventuresofharryandfriends.com.
There you go. So with that, thank you so much. We're going to play that little video again because I want people to see the books and also that little behind the scenes of Adam. But hang on, I'll send you into the green room and we'll chat in just a moment. Well, it has been a lot of fun with Sarah and Adam today talking about the books. They have such deep backgrounds and experience working with children, parents, character traits, working in the different industry of video production and movies and stage and all this stuff. This is just evident in all of the books. And you would be the hero to bring this home to your family or to give it as a gift. And so I just want to thank everybody for coming and watching today. And let's take a look at the little video here and the behind the scenes. And everybody have a fabulous day.